Okay, Newt Surveys. There are a few standard methods for Newt surveys. If we start with the surveys in the pond, you've got torching, which is not setting the ponds alight. It's going out at night after dusk or dusk onwards with a torch, a powerful torch, looking into the pond and seeing how many newts of what kind you can see. The other methodology, which is pond-based, the common methodology, a very good one, is bottle trapping. And that's putting traps in, which are converted 2-litre lemonade bottles, into the pond. They go in late afternoon, early evening. They're left there overnight and taken out the next morning before it gets too hot and too sunny. So I normally start about 7 o'clock, but it depends on where you are or what time of year it is. And then you've got the newts then in your hand almost, and you can see exactly what you've got, male, female, absolutely no question at all, and you can get a good idea of how many of those you've got, different species. And the ideal way to set those is every 2 metres around the pond margin. That's if you like, that's the measure, the standard measure. If the pond's too big, you do fewer. If it's small, you might do every metre. But the count for the pond is based on the traps at every 2 metres. Within the pond as well, you can do netting. Some ponds are easier to net than others. Very shallow ponds are difficult. Ponds with very thick weed are difficult. And ponds with no weed at all are difficult. But weedy ponds where you can't see in very well, these are ideal for netting because you can net in those quite easily. But netting isn't as an efficient method, and you wouldn't expect such good results as the former two methods, torching and bottle trapping. So they're the 3 pond-based surveys.
Are we going to see some newts tomorrow then?
We should hopefully see some newts in the traps tomorrow. Yes, that's why we put them out. This is not a bad site. There are quite a lot of newts around, so I would hope so, yes.
Thank you.
Now, the other pond-based survey you do is not for the adults. Those last 3 ones are normally for adults or perhaps juveniles, the larvae swimming around. Is an egg search, and that's searching vegetation, whether it's dead leaves or float grass or water forget-me-not, watermint, whatever species it is that's suitable in the pond, and looking for the eggs, because the newts lay their eggs one by one as single eggs, and they wrap them in leaves, dead or alive, in the pond. So you can actually search the pond for that. And if it's a pond with a lovely marginal vegetation, you can just pick out a few stems and look on those, and you can tell the different great Christian newt eggs from smooth newt and palmate newt eggs. You can tell those two apart. The small newts, the eggs are the same visually, but the great Christian you can tell as a definite species from the eggs. And you can do that as well. That doesn't give you any idea of how many newts you've got in the pond, but it gives you presence, absence and breeding, or attempts to breed. They're the pond-based surveys.